Yeah, so this must be game 2 or game 3. Deck of Many Things on 2 resources against Jin's 1 resource. Deck of Many Things likely on the play here, so having lost last game. Um, this is the cleanest I've ever seen his stream look. That's really cool. Uh, we see him putting down a Darkspire Priestess onto the board. I will ask him in chat. Game 3? Question mark. And his opponent laying down a storm cloud, playing the ever debated turn 2 storm cloud, not holding that storm cloud for turn 3 and sacrifice. Not really a whole lot of benefit to putting storm cloud down on turn 2 aside from holding your resources up on turn 3.
You might have something to play.
Exactly. So we see the third shard from Deck of Many Things. We can see his hand is actually really good, assuming he gets a 4th resource. Another Blood Sapphire. Is this our second Blood Sapphire?
This is a Blood Sapphire with Zared instead of Wyatt.
That's true. There we go. So it is another Blood Sapphire. It looks like Djinn on the other side of the board is in fact playing
Probably
Mono Sapphire, probably, yeah. So at this point, chat can now start complaining about the amount of Mono Sapphire they've seen in the tournament.
It's only been 33% of our featured decks so far.
That's true. That's true. But we see the Storm Cloud coming down on turn 3 before a resource, so we have to assume the resource is coming out. Deck of Many Things uses his first murder here to destroy one of the Storm Clouds. And do we see a Crackling Vortex here? No, a Shard of Cunning.
So it is not actually Mono Sapphire, and we see a third. We see actually a third Blood Sapphire deck with a different champion. So
I'd like to remind chat now that they are not allowed to complain about the number of Mono Sapphire decks again. So Deck of Many Things, looking at a Thunderpuff here. Thunderpuff could block and kill a Darkspire Priestess, but that's not the end of the world.
Where one Darkspire comes from, there are probably several.
Yeah. No confirmation from Deck of Many Things as to whether or not he is in game 1, 2, or 3. He's ignoring chat. So we do see the Thunderpuff block here. Okay, he says game 2.
So when Darkspire Priestess dies, either she does 3 damage to your opponent, to each opponent, or a random maybe, or you get to look at your deck and take a card with Darkspire in its name into your hand. Looks like he had 2 copies of Darkspire Priestess left in his deck. Takes 1, kind of like this troop that keeps on trooping. We'll get to continually attack. I don't know if, since it's not Benoshi or anything, I wonder what kind of synergies this Darkspire Priestess, or what problems this Darkspire Priestess is trying to solve. Given that Thunderpuff, Workerbot can jump in front of it.
Yeah, that Workerbot a solid ground defense against the Darkspire Priestess at the very least.
And I mean, given what I just said, that Buccaneer is that is a little bit worth it. But a Workerbot for 2 cost, not always the thing you want to play out of your hand. You usually want better things. So that'll take care of that Workerbot for a while. It also allows Darkspire Priestess to get in for 2.
That being said, it is a valuable thing to use your resources on. Like, he's not going to be sad replaying it. He might be sad in the order he has to play his cards, but he still has the Workerbot. Likely would have been more upset with a charge and -1/-1 from Zared than he would have been with just the straight up Buccaneer. Also kind of interesting to think that Zared kind of counters Bertram, but just the charge level difference, right? Zared costs 4, and Bertram costs 3, because you're getting a defensive 1/1 versus an offensive removal.
That play may have also been due to the second murder in his hand, as that Workerbot is turn 4 is important for a Blood player, for Vampire King or Extinction, and I believe we're just going to see a Vampire King brutally murdered, mousing over that card. Ooh, I know that other card too.
That's spicy. Yeah.
So if you put a Blood Aura on Darkspire Priestess, and Darkspire Priestess dies, that 3 damage that it could possibly do. It could also life drain. Minor combo, but neat.
A minor combo, but also, like, how often have you played around in a competitive constructed match any of the aura cards?
Not often, but of them, I can only assume Blood Auras. In limited, Blood Aura is one of the most game-changing cards. No, the +1/+1 is incidental. Life drain on anything you want. We'll see this a lot with Shift in Armies of Myth, but life drain is a game changer. And we did see that almost bring the game back for Fexeric in our previous match on a 6/6, gaining 18 plus health in one game. 18, I believe.
So we see the swing. Jin going to 12, which is kind of scary for him here. He's lost his Vampire King. He's not going to be able to regain that health very easily. But his opponent, DeckOfManyThings, stuck on 3 resources, not able to play a fair deal of cards right now. And Jin does have a Tunnel Troop, which is likely either a Monsoon or a Wakizashi Ambusher or a Reese, all 3 of which would be amazing for him to have surface at this point. Now we have to wonder if it is Reese because, well, no, that was the replayed. That was the replayed worker bot. For a second, I thought he used his charge power, but I was wrong.
And again, no shard. But you know what's worse than a 2-cost worker bot? A 3-cost worker bot.
That's true, but you almost have to wonder if it would have been worth swinging with both and using the Darkspire Priestess as a conduit for Blood Aura.
I don't think he wants the Blood Aura on Darkspire Priest. Then again, his other targets already have life drain.
Yeah, like Vampire King's good. The only thing giving Blood Aura to a Vampire King does is allow it to block, destroy, and live safely through another Vampire King.
My going theory right now is this is a deck tuned a little bit more toward aggro. He would give the choice of Darkspire Priestess kind of lends itself to that. He would rather do everything he can to disrupt his opponent's single troops and get extra damage in. Because even this extinction, like boom, he will not get damage, but instead get another Darkspire Priestess, which is the thing. Darkspire Priestess is fragile. She will die and either deal some extra damage or you get to draw one. So even if DeckOfManyThings still doesn't get another resource, which would be really great now, as Workerbot can just die, or even better, Workerbot doesn't even matter once that 4th resource is drawn. There, well, it's a 4th resource. So a Shard of Cunning. He'll get to play it next turn, but at least he still has things to play.
Yeah, being able to hit his 2nd threshold and his 4th resource is going to be really big here. Got a lot of cards in hand versus his opponents too. The big issue, of course.
That's an interesting choice to now charge power it before the Darkspire Priestess gets a chance to attack. I almost would have maybe saved that unless he thinks something will happen with that worker bot. Given 2 cards in Jin's hand, I don't think that. Oh.
And so it was Monsoon. So the correct play was to Zerad that turn. But that does mean the Vampire King comes back this turn. Interesting to quickly just note, Monsoon, the Shogun of the Windajin. An incredibly powerful troop, but he does have a fault that the troops he brings back from the grave that turn don't have speed like he does when he surfaces. And a lot of players kind of just assume those troops will have speed. I'm not really, like, I've played a lot of Proving Ground games where people are like, why doesn't this have speed? So.
But at this point, Jin is low enough that he's like, throw a Darkspire Priestess in front of it. Unfortunately, does roll the get another Darkspire from deck. There aren't any, so he does not get a chance to get that. His desired result would have been 3 damage to Jin.
Interesting that with Darkspire in his deck, like we only saw 3 Darkspire Priestess and not any Punishers or Tyrants.
I still don't know, like if they're just there for incidental damage and a slightly aggressively stated troop. There
Which
are
is
two
possible.
options.
They're a good two draw.
There's two options here, and I think that Blood Aura might make this the better option. He can play a Vampire King, block his opponent's Vampire King, take 7, and then they both gain some health. And then the next turn, he has the ability to go beyond that. Up a little taste of his own medicine. Jin is holding a murder
A
Vampire King.
murder being brutal here. Now it's not just 7 damage, it's 10 damage with 3 health going to Jin and a 2 in 5 chance of revealing a troop from his hand to the Vampire King and it becoming a vampire. I think if that's the case, if he hits either that Vampire King or the Buccaneer here, it'll be very difficult for Deck of Many Things to turn this back around.
And it does reveal the Buccaneer. One of the things that can slow down this onslaught now becomes a 2/2 life drain flight vampire. So definitely fatal damage. 12 damage on Jin's board. And really his only option is one of those two Vampire Kings.
Yeah, and if it's a murder again in Jin's hand, or counter magic, or a time ripple, or a Buccaneer,
Any
that's
number of things.
yeah, that's probably game.
Menacing Gralk.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it is a murder. That will be game for Deck of Many Things here. And as I have been made aware several times in the chat, not only was this game 2, but Deck of Many Things did lose game 1, like we pointed out. He was on the play. So, an unfortunate drop for him. Not drop, really. I think he's 1-1 now.
Dropped match.
Yeah, dropped match. Because you look at this board and you think to yourself, if that shard of cunning had come a turn earlier, if it hadn't have been a shard of cunning, if it had just been another shard, any number of things there could have turned that into a game for Deck of Many Things, who was mostly in control for that match. Nearly going to take it down. Monsoon by itself was strong just in the level of damage it dealt, not necessarily just in the fact that it brought back the Vampire King, but being able to put through 5, then 7, and then potentially 10 damage all on its own was a huge clock for a troop that a lot of people have started going, well, why is it the same price as Reese?
And also, a murder that was used on a storm cloud may have been useful in that low shard situation. I mean, he was stuck at 3, but at any point, like he was able to play cards.